So getting back to how Mouse ruined comics.
Okay.
All right, 30 seconds. Your 30 seconds are up. No more boomer music.
Well, that was strange. Did that show the picture to anybody besides not me?
I did not see any picture.
Well, goodness sakes.
I just assumed it was my bandwidth.
Maybe it's mine.
Nope, it just played dark.
Just played dark.
Yeah, I thought that's why we were handing all this stuff to the metal, because he's the guy who knows how to push the buttons right.
I've never had a problem with that before.
Back to how Mouse ruined comics.
Yeah, you're just
okay.
slowly set up like a Google
You're playing
Drive
audio, but you're
folder
not.
or something, and just get me all the assets.
Yeah, we'll have to do something. I don't know, man.
Hand it all to metal.
See, and now, okay. Well, I'm seeing it caught up to the thumbnail, but it didn't go anywhere than that. Curses! That's never happened to me before.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Rawr.
Something. That was really really frustrating. Dave says, I see nothing. I'm sorry, Dave. I let you all down.
You have failed this live stream.
I have. So, it's a Wednesday. It's the Mattriarchy. We are here today with the usual gang, plus Nick, to talk about Screecher. That was why there's an owl pun in the title of the video.
Yes, all knowing, all seeing, all screeching.
Oh, something. So, which of course that is on Indiegogo right now. It is a give us the elevator pitch for Screecher.
So basically, Screecher is about a woman who was forced back to her hometown after 7 years away, and her father was jailed for a crime he did not commit, and now in order to see justice done, she must don the mantle of Screecher and find a way to save him while also taking down the corporation that imprisoned him.
Cool. That is a story. I got a chance to read a preview copy beforehand. Am I the only one that did?
No,
Oh, sorry.
I did my homework as well.
Great.
I didn't get my material until like 5 minutes ago. So.
I know.
You didn't read the required literature?
I wasn't even given the required literature.
Yeah, that was my fault. I've been really bad about keeping in touch with everybody for everything this week. My phone just say something?
2005 called. They want their notification back.
I didn't even think. Oh well, whatever. I don't know what it was, but that's fine. Hey,
sounds like a 2005 Nokia phone.
It could be. 2005 is a good year.
It was a good year.
Yeah. That's the year our webcomic is set in. Anyway, Force Good and Evil is set in 2005 so far. Anyway, point being, we're not here to talk about that. So, Twitless, you read a Screecher. What did you think? Or was that his notification sound?
I think he might be.
I didn't know if it was.
He's muted at the moment, so he might be talking to someone. He's being a responsible person. Let's give him that.
You would know if mine went off because anybody who's played Final Fantasy would just hear a bird quay from a chocobo. That's my notification sound.
I don't know what that is.
I was trying to do the chocobo theme and failing miserably on it.
No, that's fine. I mean, like even like that's the bird thing, right?
Yeah, so this is the bird thing on my screen, but it kind of has like a sound to it, and that's
I can recognize the word when you've said it, but if you were to say what is this bird, I'd say I don't know. That's where I'm
not a horse.
Anyway,
that's the answer.
I turned off the ringer on mine, but like if mine went off, you'd be like, "Oh, Breath of the Wild, there's a shrine nearby." Yeah, I got like that little kind of notification beeping. It's actually a really good notification tone.
So exciting! Our notification sound conversation. This is what really brings in the viewers. This is what good radio sounds.
Listen, It is, because most of the viewers are geeks, and this is a very geeky topic. So
Yeah,
What's your notification tone? What's your geeky notification tone?
I actually here's the worst thing. I'm going to say I don't actually set like specific. I have a old 1990s ringer sound for my phone calls come in, so it sounds like a wall phone.
That in of itself is geeky, by the way.
But other than that, I don't have any other. It's whatever's default. I don't bother with anything else. And so like different apps have different notifications, and I don't know what's what or pay attention to any of that stuff. So in the chat, I don't know if she's still there. Abigail was here earlier. Flying Saucer was here earlier. Dave was here. Mrs. H. Oh hey.
Wild Mrs. H appears.
Oh, Mrs. H appears.
All right, I'm back. What I miss?
Oh, I just asked you just after. Was that your phone that had notified the thing of me?
The what?
Never mind. Don't worry about it. I'm skipping off.
Okay.
But yes, my phone does work. That's another way of saying it. Yeah.
So phone. Okay.
I can imagine. Sorry, I was already reading what Mrs. H says. Like, yeah, I could imagine.
So anyway, Mrs. H says on the notification conversation, her phone used to be a Navi saying, "Hey, listen," but people became annoyed.
Hey, listen.
I will say my wife's notification is the Eddie's kill theme from Fallout New Vegas. So that
oh my god, that actually used to be my notification tone for a while. Your wife has good taste.
Yeah, I like to think so. She picked me. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you picked each other, so.
Yeah.
Abigail says, what COVID variant did that to Twitless? It's the T-virus variant.
Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed.
Straight from Umbrella
amazing.
Corp.
Yeah,
That's
quite
amazing.
the biohazard.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we keep him
the
locked
person
away
on
in the
Unleashed
South.
they're quite the Resident Evil.
We keep him locked away in one of those southern states, so we don't have to worry.
Is that where we hold the Nemesis?
Oh, jeez.
Anyway.
I would play Biohazard Florida Edition. That sounds like a very fun game.
Can the protagonist just be like a Florida man, please? Like, oh my god!
And there's
Just
just
imagine like a Resident Evil set in Miami, but you play as Florida man.
Bunch of gators in it. Isn't that kind
Though,
of
I
like?
guess-
Isn't that essentially Seven?
Yeah, I was to say 7 could be North Florida. It's very bayou-like, very swamp.
Ray Cortex says, Your Honor, she's a New Vegas enjoyer. I deem her based.
Oh, you mean the best Fallout game ever?
So anyway, Twitless, just before you disappeared and we got into this conversation about phone notifications, the best thing on the internet. We were talking about Screecher, and you'd mentioned you read it. What are your first thoughts?
It's a hoot.
I appreciate your use of owl puns. You, sir, are awesome.
So I mean, what's interesting, because you approached us, Nick, about doing this, and I'm just doing some digging here. It looks like you are no stranger to the Indiegogo game. You've got a few campaigns here.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like a hardened veteran expert, but I'm no spring chicken anymore. That's for sure. I'm kind of in that little middle ground,
So that's a good topic of conversation there. What got you into making? First of all, how many comics have you made?
I got an image. I can share that, and we can take a look together. Actually,
look at this.
Yeah. So we've got. If you want to walk us through the titles that we see here, it looks like there's quite a bit of samurai going on here. Some cyberpunk. Samurai.
I love me some cyberpunk. I mean, this is it's the Lazy Boy, so it better be comfortable.
Brand loyalty.
I mean, hey, I am a lazy boy myself, so they better send me a check in the mail after what I just said. But
I don't think that's how.
Anyway, yeah, I'm a big lover of cyberpunk. Actually, earlier today, I just finished watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and oh my god, is it great! Great show. But yeah, I've always loved the genre. like Neuromancer, obviously Matrix, Ghost in the Shell, and like any creator, they want to create what they love. The things that they're into, they want to create more versions of it, and if they aren't getting served what they want by the main stuff, they're like Thanos and like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yep.
So, speaking of which, total side note, but after we get done talking about this, I'm just laying this out there. I would like to address the Alan Moore situation.
Oh dear God!
But
oh my God! I have words. I have
this is
words
not
about that.
This is not a conversation starter. This is a reminder for later.
Oh, speaking
Yeah,
of
I'm just
reminders,
letting you know. I'm going to have words.
2100 Samurai. That's a lot of that's a huge cast.
Wait,
How do
but
you manage such a large cast?
speaking of reminders, to our chat, we have a special treat for you guys.
Ooh,
And we've cooked it up in the lab, a special Halloween flavored trick, something, one of the two.
You will beware. You're in for a scare.
Yeah. So you guys stay in chat. Get more people to come in. The more the merrier, because we got something coming. You're gonna like it.
It's an interactive game.
You've got another thing coming.
Okay, so yes, as I said, 2100 Samurai. That's an enormous cast. How do you keep them all straight?
I do that by having the 2100 denote the time and not the number of samurai. I mean, it's an easy mistake to make. I'm not going to knock you for it. It's an easy thing to say because, like, you think it could apply to both. Let's be fair here. 2100 could apply to both, and I understand why people would go to like the number of samurai instead of the time. So I'm not really. I don't really have any. Like, it is what it is.
So this is it. So this is a samurai story that is set in the future.
Yes.
So
in the year 2100.
Okay, tell us about your future a little bit.
So it's a cyberpunk future, but I kind of did it with a twist. The backstory being that around the 2050s, 2075s, there's this thing called the Silica Wars, where how we're always talking about like the Mad Max future where like gas runs out. In this future, the rare earth metals, like cobalt and silica, the stuff that we use to make all electronic devices, that runs out. And there's like this giant war over it. And the rate in which they make a new electronic devices just plummets to like an insane trickle. So in this universe, you got people, it's the year 2100, yet they're using Commodore 64s, and having an iPad 2 is considered a luxury item. So they're kind of forced to use old electronics and keep them going. It's kind of inspired by, like, you see a lot of like Cuban or like a lot of these communist kind of countries where like they keep these old things going and they really use ingenuity wise. And that was kind of what it was inspired by. Like, imagine Cuban car culture, but with electronics.
Right. I like it.
And so that's kind of like the underpinning of it, and so you have this samurai from feudal Japan. And there's a bunch of backstory. A portal opens up, and and him and his fiance kind of go through it. It's like it's not really revealed why at first, but I will kind of there, and I'm just kind of setting the field, if you will. And then some stuff happens. The fiance goes missing, and then Kiro's kind of left stranded on his own in the mean streets of New Detroit.
Cool. Okay, so you've done how many of these?
2.
You've done 2 of those. And then you jumped into Screecher, which you mentioned last week. You're kind of going for an all ages thing to it. And I actually think you pulled it off pretty well for the most part. I think it's maybe like 11 and up, not quite a PG-13, but it's got some intensity that I think like very young kids wouldn't get, but like
I was trying to go for like a very light PG-13 was kind of like my threshold. I was very mindful not to do any cursing. There is a little bit of blood, very little, like some violence, but I was trying to keep it to a minimum, like kind of do like a Batman the Animated Series kind of like level of tone.
Well, I think you hit that pretty well. What do you think, Twitless?
There's definitely it's a very good target. Batman TAS, very beloved. I really dig this cover. I like what's going on with the cape there. That's a very nice. It's a very good design choice. And who did that cover?
It was a man, Xevious. You guys might be familiar with him. He's done a lot of stuff for the community.
Mhm.
Really great artist, and he's an even better person. Like, seriously, the guy was a joy to work with. I mean, I don't really need much to say about his work because his work's on screen. You know, it speaks for itself. And then the interiors, as you're seeing now, were done by Brian Q. He's a South American artist that I found on Fiverr, and he actually worked on Turned Samurai issue 2 with me. And then I had to work with this on this because, like, me and Brian, we work pretty well together. And it's like, when you find someone's like, hey, we work well together, you kind of want to, you kind of work with them as much as you can because good people can be kind of hard to find sometimes.
How good is Fiverr for comic book collaborations, do you find?
I find it can be pretty good. Sometimes you got to go through like 2 or 3 people to find what you need. But the one thing I do like about it is it has a bit of a fail-safe to where if they run off with the money, you can actually go through Fiverr and they'll refund you, and Fiverr is actually really good about that. Huh. So like if they don't do that, like that's one thing I do like about Fiverr is there's kind of like a third party, and it's not like, and also they're like really fair about like, because they'll say, hey, could you talk to the person first, work it out, and then if it works, then they'll refund you. So it's like at least they're trying to encourage the job to get done. So I'll respect them for that. Like, Fiverr themselves, I feel like their admin team is pretty fair, and the system itself is pretty good. Sometimes the people, you get some pretty crappy people. Like, you got to put in some due diligence, but like there are a lot of good people on there, and if you kind of know what you're doing, it's but the risk is minimized, which helps a lot.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's talk a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
I just realized what Abigail was saying here, that there's a chocobo in it there too, in the Ukrainian flag is what she's saying.
Yeah, it just blends right into the desert.
I just while to figure out what. Okay.
Wait, is the screen itself because it's like blue on top, yellow on the bottom?
Yeah, that's the joke they're making in the chat. But I just had to.
Well, and like the official name of the color of the default chocobo is desert yellow, so it just blends right in.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Okay. Sorry to distract everybody there. So what was it that made you jump from the more serious adult cyberpunk samurai story into the
Batman world,
13 urban Avenger kind of scene? Because that's
a lot of it was based off of the feedback I was getting from people. Well, Turned Samurai was selling well, and I'm just going to say this right now. I am still going to be doing Turned Samurai. I'm just going to be doing like a leapfrog thing from here on out. So Turned Samurai, I'm not abandoning that project. It's just, this is just kind of another pillar. I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. But I got a lot of people say, like, we like your comic, it's cool, but we're buying for our child, buying for our daughter, our son, and it's a mature comic. Like, I literally put for mature audiences only, just kind of to cover my butt. And, like, I understand that. And at a lot of these conventions, there's a lot of children. There's a lot of parents buying for children. And so I wanted to design a comic for them. I mean, obviously, it still has to be something that I want to do that I'm passionate about, but, like, I kind of wanted to hit that market. So basically, for me, I'm kind of hitting both markets. Turned Samurai is hitting like the anime adult comic book crowd, and then Turned Samurai Creature is like the all ages kind of stuff. Like, I'm not making a kiddie comic book. I'm just trying to make something that appeals to both adults and kids. That's kind of my intention with this, which is why I keep bringing in like Batman the Animated Series as like a goal for tone, not as tone, but for like content, Because like Batman the series was something that was perfectly appropriate for kids, but appealed to both adults and kids. So that's kind of where I was trying to go with it.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I think that's when you're thinking about creativity as a business, it's important to know your market.
So I have a couple questions that I think are will flesh things out a little bit. So this is a superhero story, but one thing that I think is very fascinating. And this is something I've been exploring with some students of mine, which is, what happens when you take the superhero out of his very typical metropolitan or coastal city kind of environment. And we see this kind of happening with Red Rooster, where it's like, Batman in a barn kind of situation. It's Southern Gothic, which gives it a very different flavor. And you and I think Nick Mueller with but also Reese as well. There's someone else I'm forgetting to mention, right? But when you take the superhero and you put him or her in a very drastically different setting, and I think that it's very fascinating to see what happens. But what I have to ask you is, this particular story takes place in Ann Arbor, like very specifically Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's not just like a general like a made up city. It's not a metropolis or Star City or something. You specifically chose a very, very specific, non-typical superhero place for Screecher to have her adventures, and I'm very curious as to why that is.
Oh, just say he chose an unrecognizable city because nobody except from the area would even know what city that is.
I mean, really, the only way that people know of Ann Arbor is if I say University of Michigan, and then like some people might get it, but yeah. So the reason I chose Ann Arbor is honestly the best answer is physical proximity, because like I live 20 minutes from Ann Arbor and about 40 minutes from Detroit, and I just wanted to write what I know. I wanted to write to locations that I know. Like I wanted to be able to physically just get in my car, drive 20 minutes, and like literally go to these locations and like kind of like envision how it will go down in my head. I think it kind of adds a bit of a realistic kind of angle to it. I mean, obviously it's not a 1-for-1 creation. Like there's no like big, that obviously like the Fletcher house and some of these locations are made up, but like, and other issues, they'll actually be on real streets, like not necessarily real shops on that street, but like they'll get out and it'll be like the actual streets. And like the final battle, I actually know where it's going to take place. There's a physical place where I know the final battle is going to take place in issue 4. And like, I'm going to go drive there and kind of play it out in my head. Plus it helps, I can take pictures, in much more than just Google Maps. Like I can actually take pictures and get angles that Google Maps can't. And it helps great with my artist.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. So I have a follow-up question, and it's fascinating what you were describing, because essentially that's what Marvel and DC were doing too. They were putting stories in their backyards. It's just their backyards were New York. But what do you think? What stays the same and what changes to the soul of the superhero? I want to get your opinions on this. What stays the same and what changes to the soul of the superhero when you take him or her out of the very typical metropolitan areas and you put it in somewhere very different, like Ann Arbor, Michigan? What do you think about that?
I'd say the biggest difference is, so when you're having a character set in like New York, Gotham, Metropolis, it's about the city. It's like the city as a organism, the city as a character of itself. Whereas with this one, it's more of a setting, because like for example, Avery, even though it takes place in Ann Arbor, she lives in Dexter, which is a suburb of Ann Arbor. And so it's like it takes place in it, but the city itself is not a character, which is something you see in a lot of the Marvel and DC stuff. Like how many times you see Gotham, Batman talk about Gotham as like this living, breathing organism, or any of the Marvel characters talk about New York in the same vein. And so with a lot of that one.
Ray, we have a question from Ray Cortex says, isn't Ann Arbor the liberal city? I come from Kentwood.
Okay. I know exactly where he lives, because I know what Kentwood is. Kentwood is a suburb of Grand Rapids, so I know exactly where he lives. But like,
no doctor.
Yeah, Ann Arbor is actually a very liberal city, but like, I just wanted to do my own thing. Avery herself, I'm not putting politics into this.
Sure.
It's just I'm doing the stories I want to tell, telling the stories I want to tell. Politics are really not even a thing for this book. Like, I feel like unless you're specifically doing a story about political ideologies, get the frick out of politics out of your book. There should be no politics in Batman. Unless you're doing a specific, like, Elseworlds kind of story about politics in general. Just unless you're doing that specific thing, like for example, Watchmen was made with a political slant in mind. We'll kind of get to that later. But
speaking of Alan Moore,
so
yeah, I know. Like as soon as I said that, I was like, oh crap! I didn't realize what I just invoked. But like,
you want me to wrinkle your brain?
There we go.
It's impossible to tell a superhero story that isn't political.
Here's the Galaxy take.
The very
I would disagree with that.
The very assumption of a superhero rests upon the concept that the individual has the right to
So
act with the power of government.
Both of you actually, here's you want the real wrinkle. Both of you actually agree you're using different terminology to describe essentially the same concept.
It's one of these things. It's one of these things. And you and I have had this conversation, probably even on the show. People who say, and this is not meant to be personal, Nick, but people that say, keep politics out of comics, always lose the argument because it's your politics is public life and it's inextricable from fiction. So you have
then I will have to offer the addendum of
what you're talking about is partisan politics or propaganda, and those are different things. But you can't.
Okay, I will concede. Okay, then I concede. Then all right.
Yeah,
and I will agree with you on that one because that's what we'll see in a lot of modern comics is propaganda, partisan, and they're forcing their politics on you because I come from an era where like Twilight Zone is one of my favorite shows ever, and that is a heavily political show. Rod Serling is my favorite writer ever, and I'm not and I will fully admit that is a very political show. The difference between the Twilight Zone and what you see now is one word: subtlety.
Well, and
these messages of the past, they suggested, hey, maybe don't do this. Like you watch the Monsters on Maple Street, it shows you how bad it is, and it puts it in an allegory so it's easier to digest. Whereas the stuff you see in Marvel or whatever, all these media, is they blatantly do this, and they say, hey, don't do this. It turns from a suggestion to an outright demand.
Right, and one of the things that I think that the Twilight Zone's best episodes did really well.
You're good. Like I said, you both essentially agree. It's just the terminology that gets
exactly.
Yeah.
Every argument is a semantic argument. But moving back to what I'm saying, that one of the things the Twilight Zone's best episodes did, and even some of their worst episodes did, was maintained the presumption that of possible error, right? Where and even with their bait and switches that they'd have in those episodes, the idea is that there needs to be a humility because you might be wrong too, and that's something that we don't get in a lot of modern storytelling, because they can't leave the idea that there could be good intentioned people that have different takeaways from the same circumstance.
It's like we live in such
a Nazi.
Exactly, and I think this is really the thing that's honestly, I think that last point you said is really the more polarizing thing than anything else. The idea, and this you get this notion on both sides. This is not a product of the left or right. It's like my side is good, your side is bad. You see that on both sides of the equation. Let's be honest here, and it's. The one side, like our side is we're good, we're honest, we're moral. The other side, they're evil. They're this label we're going to put on there, and it's like both sides have good people and bad people. It's almost like we're all human beings.
Let's start talking about a world like superheroes, which is known for its immense subtlety and not putting superheroes and supervillains in direct conflict with each other. I say that in love, in the sense that I love that type of story, and I write it very often myself. So I'm literally poking fun at my own work.
Right. And I think one of the things we have with the idea of the superhero and supervillain is it allows storytelling to approach those mythic, stark, concrete concepts while not having to overly personalize it to the people that are in the audience. If you're really doing it well, what I mean.
This leads into the second question I had, which is the antagonist for this piece. It was a slight criticism at first, but then I kind of liked it, and I kind of want to flesh it out with you a little bit. So I'm talking about the very beginning of the story, so I don't think I'm giving away any spoilers. But the very beginning of the story has the setup of our protagonist, our young woman, who is her father is locked away for a crime he didn't commit, right? And the crime he didn't commit, he was essentially set up for by an evil pharmaceutical company, a company so evil that it mails the daughter of the man that they've put in prison illegally, and mails her a letter and basically says, you better get him to talk or we're totally going to do more awful things. and like mails it to her essentially. Or like it's like in writing, and it even had like the signature of like the villain being like Toodles. Like, so initially I was like, all right. I had a little criticism. I was like, would a villain who was at the head of a pharmaceutical company like that, would they be so brazen as to put it in writing? And it was a point of criticism for a couple of minutes, because I was like, this is a little too much. And then I thought about our current global situation, and I went,
fortifying it. Like, they literally did an article in the New Yorker about fortifying an election. They literally did an article after the election saying, "Hey, yeah, we totally stole the election, but we didn't steal it. We were fortifying it." It's like,
So
this is some Saturday morning BS.
Well,
like,
and
it's
even if
like,
you don't want to talk about the election per se, you got to
just
remember
watch
that,
Memeology 101. Like the stuff that he
the-
posts, it's so cartoony.
the idea
Sorry, I'm
that
sorry.
the idea that that
the villains
we
would
were
put it in
told
writing.
the bill of goods, they have a 40-point plan on how to develop the Great Reset, and then like, there's no Great Reset. Okay, Mr. Schwab, sure, you only wrote about this 6 months ago. Why would we believe you what you wrote 6 months
You
ago?
will own nothing and be happy.
So it initially started as criticism, and I'm still on the fence on that, but I'm like, it's one of those things where truth is stranger than fiction, kind of, and so it became less of a criticism, because I was like, you know what, I could almost see one of these CEO types writing a letter saying, you better give me what I want, or I'm going to totally do criminal actions, and write it down and sign it. So I don't know. We live in strange times.
Well, I mean, you know
You're
the
gonna
difference
believe.
between truth and fiction, right?
What, 10 years? Okay, 5
No,
minutes.
fiction has to make sense.
Oh,
Fiction
okay.
has to make sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we see some of the shady shit that like these corporations are like, that they're being revealed for. They get no actions, like Nestle. Like some of the stuff that Nestle did back in the 70s with the bottle crisis. Literally, poisoning, giving bad bottled water to like Nigerian babies. People still buy Nestle. It's like all the real, like, and this is just the stuff we know about. Like, if we know about this stuff, imagine what we don't know about.
You got Nanji in chat saying, a lot of things that are happening right now are so brazen that if put in a story, it'd be too cliche. And that is the sad reality. Yeah, that's it's hitting it on the nose.
That's what I'm saying. Signing the letter is like,
Well,
if I had released this comic like 5 years ago, that would have been a total BS thing to do. But nowadays, like,
yeah, I can say it's less. Yeah, you're right. So,
Well,
like I said,
it's like
it
one of these,
started as a.
another good take on it is, I mean, really, who are you going to believe? Some stupid girl or the science, right? You always got.
I remember the science. The science changed. I was totally talking about it 5 minutes ago, but like the science has changed now.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So like I said, this comic has some very interesting angles on that sort of thing.
Well, and also, speaking of angles, I got to point out one quick thing on here on the scene when she gets the costume. I got to ask this. I'm not necessarily the spoiler. We don't talk about that if you want, but when she gets the costume, there is a scene. Was that scene an intentional like nod or wink to the Batgirl trailer or the Batwoman trailer for the TV series that closed down?
In the original drafts, it was a lot more blatant.
All right.
I really kind of pared it back. Like I was like where she literally says when it fits a woman, but like the editor said, because like I wanted to reclaim that line. Like I wanted to try and like reclaim it, kind of thing.
Mrs. H is T-Heeg in chat, which means
I'm getting it. I'm getting
all right.
it here.
It's like to tell.
Like I just kind of wanted to like do all those kind of like reclaim a lot of those tropes and just like, but the editors were like, no, and I listened to my editors and I kind of pared it back.
Well, yeah, I noticed that.
Actually,
that was
I honestly feel like
you.
I think you threaded that needle really well. I mean, it feels like a nod to it, but also it doesn't feel like it doesn't have the same kind of spirit to it, and I think it touches it really well.
Yeah, that's
like I think my editors were right on the money. Like even if my intentions were to be like I literally had her said in like some of the original drafts, like where she says when Is that Screecher Dog?
No, it's a Screecher Pickle and Spider Pickle.
Scrickle.
Please send this to me. I need to put this on my Twitter. Please. Oh.
This is we have essentially a multiverse of madness at this point.
I approve. I approve. You have my permission.
Multiverse of pickles.
It's much better than the actual multiverse of madness, though. That's a very low bar.
It's actually already. She tagged you with it, so it's already on your Twitter.
There you go.
Oh, was it done while I was in the stream? Because
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I got everything closed, so like my focus is on you guys.
Appreciate that. I wouldn't have looked if she hadn't said something, but.
Oh, Mrs. H, you devil, you. I'm wagging my finger, but she's covering me up.
There you go. We don't know. You don't know how.
So what was I talking about?
I'm not sure, but I will point out that Jim Tuner in the chat says we need that 4th season of Batwoman.
That's what I was going to point out. That I also detected that moment, and it's just so bizarre how a simple, slight rewording essentially accomplishes everything that the Batwoman scene wanted to do, but did it in a way that wasn't insulting to the audience and didn't make me die internally.
Basically the. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, so like what I'm saying is that it's what I think is very what that illustrates. Essentially, what happens is that Screecher kind of gets her suit, or she's looking at the suit. The suit is built to suit a man, and she basically kind of riffs on that line that happens in Batwoman, which is "it's perfect" or "it'll be perfect when it fits a woman," and that's how it happened in Batwoman, which just makes you want to gag. But in your version, it was "it'll be great when it's been tweaked a bit." And she kind of like she's a little coy about it, but that's kind of where she lets it rest. And by doing that slight rewording, you're able to accomplish essentially what the Batwoman scene wanted to accomplish, but do so in a way that's not awful. And so again, I think that's the interesting point is the fact that you can accomplish some of the things that Batwoman's trying to do with its messaging or whatever, but you can do it in a way that isn't so awful and insulting. You know what I mean? And so that's what you mentioned earlier, subtlety, and that the way you framed that line brought subtlety back. And I thought that and
honestly, that kind of speaks to some of my larger goals with this book. Is like, I wanted to do a female superhero, but I wanted to do it right. I wanted to remove all the girl boss, girl power tropes. I wanted to do a female superhero right. One that respected people, and to really to speak to the line, really the thing that I do different is she respected the past. Sure, she wanted to make some tweaks, but she wasn't demeaning the past. And you actually see that kind of like in the next page where she kind of insults the wiring, but once she realizes it was Scotty who did it, she immediately apologizes.
Yeah, because she's a human being who actually like relates to people normally and isn't like awful to them, which again is it makes her human as opposed to someone that you. Here's the thing: like if you make your protagonist a huge jerk, your audience will want to see him or her fail, and unless that's part of what you're gonna do with that character, you've screwed up with how you portrayed that character, because people are going to watch that character and they're going to continually want to see them fail as opposed to want to see them succeed. A character that is more likable or just more human, people are going to want to see, you're going to start rooting for her as opposed to rooting against her or him.
Exactly.
And so that's definitely. Yeah.
And I think you can do a story where a character is a jerk. Well, I mean, that's what we did with Chad. If you look at the first couple of years of Force Against
Evil,
we wrote him as a jerk, and the whole purpose of that was to see him grow out of that. Right? Was to see how that.
I mean, look at the show Lucifer. In the show Lucifer, that guy's a complete jackass, literally from season 1 through season 5. The reason why people love that show is both the actor and the character are insanely charismatic, and you just love watching him. But if you actually look at what he does, that guy's a fucking jackass.
Same with House, for that matter. I mean, I think.
And even more so with House.
Yeah.
I really can't. I can barely watch House anymore. I think I've outgrown him. He's really hard to watch nowadays.
There you go. Yeah. So Abigail says with Lucifer, but isn't he actually Satan? I think so.
Yeah, Lucifer. He's Lucifer
Technically
Morningstar.
not, because in the Vertigo run and also in DC there is a separate Satan and Lucifer, but he is probably more Satan than the character named Satan.
There you go. Well,
At least it's
and
better
also-
than what Marvel got, where like they have Mephisto being like the version of the devil, but he's just the Lord of Hell.
yeah.
There's like Satanish and Hellstorm and a bunch of other. Anyway,
There's so many different.
yeah. So back to Screecher. What's also neat here, one thing that ties this character together that I think is very interesting is you've kind of blended Batman with Black Canary. So the Screecher aspect here plays into her power set essentially.
Mhm.
So she has a sonic kind of blast, a screech, if you will.
Yes,
that she
I
can
call it the
wield-
Sonic Screech.
that she can wield against her enemies, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
It brings and it fits very thematically. So that was well done.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like an odds evener, like with her being a female, obviously it would be really stupid for her to take down like a trained guys, but if she uses Sonic Screech, they're disabled for like 30 seconds, then she kicks their butts, that's a bit more believable. So it's like I'm using her tools to actually make a better story.
Which Satan hates Spider-Man's? That was Mephisto. Mephisto's the one who ate Spider-Man's marriage. Can he grow out of being a jerk?
We don't talk about One More Day. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyway, a couple questions that I had about Screecher, since we're at the point of the suit, the Alfred character, and I don't know what else to call. I'm not trying to be dismissive of it, but I can't.
Well, I mean that's what he is. I mean, that's what he is. He was designed to fit that role of the Alfred type.
Is he in fact British? Because as I was reading it, I couldn't.
He's
not
Scottish.
hear him. What is he Scottish? Okay. I couldn't.
So his real name is Alistair. His actual model, like I actually kind of modeled him after the Brigadier from Doctor Who. Like that was kind of like the physical inspiration for him. Like if you look at like a picture of the Brigadier, and you kind of put it side by side, you can see the similarities. And Alistair, I think, is actually, I think it was one of the Brigadier's names. Like I can't remember. Alistair Lethbridge Stewart was the name of the Brigadier. So like he actually has a Brigadier's character's first name. So
I'm going to choose to read him as Sean Connery when I read.
I mean, if that's the voice you want to have in your head, I can't stop you.
There you go.
So, but yeah, so that was part of my question on that. And I mentioned that Alistair and her father, Screecher's father, had been in Iraq together in wartime.
Desert Storm to be more specific, like early 90s.
Yeah. Wow, Jim Tooner, the right answer yet again.
Yeah.
So there you go. So anyway, so that was part of the framing as far as that time went on it. But yeah, as a whole, I thought it was you put a lot of intriguing ideas in it, and I think the characters got some fun places to go from here.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm definitely looking forward to the future installments because as superheroes, we always love it when we get to see the supervillains. So definitely looking forward to seeing who
and more
out.
villains will be introduced. Like issue 2, you're going to see a more street level, like kind of enforcer type character being introduced. I don't want to give too much away. Like if you read the issue 1, so like you probably saw that tease.
Yep.
So, I think we've kind of covered all the stuff on it. It's available. I don't have the link handy.
All right, let me grab that for you real quick.
Do you need go link? I've got it right here.
Okay, if you would drop that in.
I have a very important question.
Oh yes.
What is a worse experience here? Actually hearing the screech or her dragging those talons across a chalkboard? Like this is important.
Nick.exe has ceased to function. I like. I'd probably say the talons on the chalkboard because the screech, it's painful, but it disables your hearing. The talons make you wish your hearing was disabled. So I'm gonna go that's my answer.
I'll accept that.
Also, she has talons on her feet too.
Yeah, those kind of serve a little bit of a different purpose. Like the hand claws, the hand talons are more for combat. The ones on the feet are more for like either grabbing onto like the side of buildings or swooping down and grabbing people like a bird.
Star Storyteller says, "Thank you for making a good female superhero."
I mean, Marvel and DC won't do it, so it's like fine. I'll give you one. You want a good superhero? I'll give you one.
In fairness, they had a great one with the silencer, but they didn't publish like do any ad work and get anybody who wasn't already interested in the book interested in the book. I loved Silencer. It was a great story.
See, yeah, it's.
Also, like I just noticed we have more donations because it was like at 1,080 beforehand, but we've gotten a few more people. Actually.
Oh wow! Congrats.
Sweet.
I never thought
nice.
we're moving the needle, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
don't think we can take any sort of credit, but I'm glad it happened.
I am taking credit. We were going to take credit. Shush, Reese, we're taking credit.
So we are actually at this point a little under 100, a little over 150 away from the goal. Because it's 1,300.
Yeah,
so
I think you're definitely on track there because you got 25 days left. Yeah, awesome.
I'm actually I'm hoping that if I'm gonna get funded at this point, like seriously. But I'm just hoping that like I can get funded this week. That's what I really want. Like seriously.
Abigail says, "So you're saying I should read The Silencer?" No, I'm saying you should read The Adventures of Omega Girl.
And then after that, you should read Screecher.
There you go.
No, you should read all three.
All right.
Yeah, read all three of them. There,
Read
problem solved. We're all happy.
The Silencer only had like a 15 issue run. It got cut really short.
Richard C. Meyer really liked Silencer, I think.
Yeah, I loved Silencer. It's like a superhero version of that Gina Davis action movie, The Long Kiss Goodnight. So, only with like adaptive relationships instead of maladaptive relationships. So,
that's not the end of the world, though, right? Because if it's only 15 issues, you could probably try to convince them to just make one trade paperback out of all of it.
It didn't sell well enough for them to give them the trade treatment.
You just have to harass them.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure.
Let's start a change.org petition.
Yeah, all our extra time.
Let's do a change.org petition. We'll get,
we
we got 5 people here right now. That's all it's going to get. But
no, that's not the way to do it, right? You got to harass them by paying some cosplayers to dress up as the character and then tweet at them.
Whoa. Hold on. Instead of getting...
So we start a GoFundMe to have Jessica Negri dress up as Omega Girl, and then we get it.
I was going to say, we spend all our effort. If we're going to spend effort on our stuff. Screw the mainstream. I'm not going to do... We're going to get cosplayers over our characters. There we go.
That is the best way to sell your stuff, though, is to just get a cosplayer to do it.
Really excited to like, if someone actually does a cosplay as Screecher, I'm actually like really excited to see it because like just to see it in like live action would just be like, oh my god, like
I know you're right.
Because like because I've had people do fan art and I'm like flattered that like people want to do fan art of this character, and like I'm kind of tearing up right now because like it just means so much to me that people care about this character so much that like they want to spend their time to do it. And just to see a cosplay of it would just be, oh my god.
So, do you want to hear a sad cosplay story?
Sure.
Well, wait, okay. Sad in what way?
It's you be the judge of how sad.
Like embarrassing.
No.
Those are always fun.
It's not embarrassing. So, as everybody who's been regular to the show knows, I've been making comics my children's entire life. And a few years ago, we were going down to the Comic-Con in Colorado, and one of my sons decided he wanted to cosplay as one of my characters. And so the two boys get their heads together and they start talking about pickles aren't enough.
Wait, what they say? I stepped away
This
to
is H
grab
said, but
some
pickles
water.
aren't enough talking
If-
about the cosplay conversation.
If pickles were enough, they wouldn't pack them together in jars.
There you go. Anyway,
But
so
I like pickles. They're yummy.
But they are great.
So,
Keep them
one
coming.
so one of my boys was going to go. He decided the kids got their head together, and they decided that my one son would go to Comic-Con as our hero Al Jin, our Golden Age genie hero.
Yep.
And we thought, oh, that's so cool. That's great. We thought it was be wonderful, and I was really tickled about it. And then as they got closer to the convention, suddenly we're like, wait a second, we're going to Colorado. He's dressed as a genie. Some jackass is going to harass my kid about cultural appropriation. And so I had to sit down with my child.
Well, I
and
guess
say,
that genie's out of the bottle.
I said, yeah,
Oh.
right. That's a good joke. I really appreciate that. But yeah, it was one of the things where it's like we've nobody, and it's fine. I don't demand it, but like, you know, nobody's ever even considered cosplaying as any of our characters except for that one time, and he's my blood, and that's fine. But I was just like, that's sad.
You have a genie girl. Do you have a genie girl in your comic?
No. Oh well,
You should put a genie girl in your comic. That will sell.
That's actually we do, but she's a child, so
That does not that might sell, but the people who want to do sexy genie cosplays will not do that
he
because
doesn't
obvious reasons.
The third there's our comics take place over a history, so there's like a legacy aspect to it. So like the first Jin, Al Jin, he's not the first Jin ever, but he's the first heroic Jin. He's like our Superman. He's the one that kicks it all off back in the 30s.
You're saying he's a super Jin?
He's Al Jin. This is his name. And then
he's the Jin. I'm sorry.
So anyway, so his then there's the second Jin that takes over after the first one is killed, and then he is Ben Jin, and he's the Jin for several for about a decade, and then he mysteriously disappears, and then the lamp also disappears, and then in the 2000s. This girl emerges, and she is the third Jin, but that's a whole story. Sorry, yeah, I got off on a tangent.
I mean, it's interesting, so at least I was entertained.
So Jins are kind of like Ghost Rider, sort of. They all manifest different. There's an actual spiritual genie that's involved. And it manifests differently in the different incarnations. So the first one is empowered by the genie without him knowing about it. It's a symbiotic relationship. But after he's killed, the second Jin, the genie is actually split apart into different beings, and so they interact with him like sidekicks or familiars or sprites from medieval legend. But then when after he disappears, the lamp is actually destroyed, and it's scattered through the waters, and eventually coalesces back within the person of another in this little girl, and she's actually the embodiment of the genie as well as being a person. So she is the genie, whereas before there's a relationship between the genie and the person. So, which, if you guys had read Zing 2, you get a hint into that.
I did read Zing 2.
Yeah. You're like the only one. Marm bought it from me when he was down here the other week, but I don't know. He probably hasn't.
Speaking of genies, I have we'll see how long it takes me to deliver on this, but I have a genie superhero project that is brewing that I'm hoping that I can deliver to you guys soon. It's going to be really, really good. You guys are going to love it.
So you're saying that you guys are all dreaming of genie?
Pretty much.
Is he cooler than the genie in rags? Because that's a pretty cool genie in rags.
I mean, it's hard to be cooler than Brian.
If you ever make a video game, it should be called Shantae.
Oh, jeez.
I also have a genie. Not a superhero, though.
So, anyhow,
Sorry. I'm bad with the puns today.
That's okay. It's that was a ridiculous rant, but there you have it. I can't even remember how we got here. So
we were talking. I don't know. I got
it's fine. Let's move on. so Screecher, it looks like you're gonna fund, which is great. If you had a perk, let's just go ahead and talk about one. If there was one perk that you would suggestively sell, which would it be?
The featured perk, which is all the comics tier. If you kind of scroll down a little bit, you'll see it. Basically, it's the non-collector version, and you basically get like all the stuff. You get like the main comic, you get the holo foil, and then you also get like the sticker and the print, and just basically all the non-collector variation of the stuff. Like if you just want everything without going too overboard, that's a good tier to get.
Cool. So, Star Storyteller's taken off. We will catch you later.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, Star Storytellers. It was nice meeting you.
So, cool. So that is exciting. I'm glad that is getting some success there. Before we leave it all together, do we have any concerns or suggestions you want to talk about, or we just want to leave it and go on to our special activity?
Nick's a fucking jackass. He can start making comics.
Okay.
Wait, who said that? Who said that?
I don't even know what it was.
I was being self-demeaning.
Okay. That's fine. We appreciate that sort of thing here.
No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. You're obviously, like I said, you're well on your way to delivering on this. Keep up the good work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, thank you.
There you go.
I had my singular question.
Oh.
It was done.
There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers.
No, I said my singular question. I already asked it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
All right.
That's all I had.
All right.
So excellent. Well, let's go ahead, I guess, and queue up our special activity.
Alrighty.
Okay.
You're making it sound like a school assignment. This is a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Of the
It's
chat.
kind of a school assignment. Okay, I got to switch over to the computer. Let's see.
All right, chat. If you're playing us in the background, you need to put us on the main monitor now because you're going to need to see the screen.
Trying to actually find it. Got so many windows up.
That's all good. So
Yeah,
you
here
see
we
this
go.
glorious black screen ahead of you. This is where the magic will happen very shortly as I fill up time and avoid the dead air.
I haven't seen a
Yeah, I'm
monitor
just
like
hoping
that
that
in
it's not
25
going to
years.
be too loud. Because it does start.
1995
with
call.
screen.
They want their monitor back.
They probably want their game back too. Here we go. It's all set up.
All right, chat. Watch along with us. We need your help.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll pause it right before any decisions. We're playing an FFP, which is basically it's all just videos, and you have to decide.
Get ready for choose your own blood venture.
We need like a theme song going on right now.
Everyone knows to dial 911 in case of
Okay, so this is our first option right here. And basically what they're doing is they're setting up the whole situation. This is a dispatch office. There has been a problem that can't be explained. They think it's something supernatural. So do you want to either monitor the calls or just deploy an officer outright?
All right, chat. You're the ones who get to make the call, and we're going to see if you guys can succeed at this game or if we're going to get a game over. We'll see how far we get tonight on Terror Tracks. So, what do you guys think?
Well, Nanji says, "Is this Carmen San Diego?" I said, "It is not," and so disappointed.
No stairway. Denied.
All right, so I think we should do. Do you want to do a poll, or do you want to just have chat do A or B? We'll just see.
We'll
Okay,
have
so
to do the chat to A or B. I don't have enough subscribers to qualify
gotcha.
for polls.
All right, so we got B. Do A or B for us to make it
We
easier.
have two Bs.
What is this? Switch plays Pokemon?
We got 2 Bs.
We have 2 Bs. All right, we'll give it.
Or not 2 Bs?
We're gonna give it another. We'll give it another 30 seconds to a minute to just get anyone else in. Or
that's 2/3 of who's watching right now.
Well, that's fine. All right. looks like we're going with B. Deploy
the chat
officer.
has spoken.
Well, how you doing, partner? The name's Graves, and I guess you and I are going to be working together tonight. Which, of course, means that you get all the thrills while I take all the risks. Well, let me show you my ordnance. First off, you got your basic crucifix. It's garlic, which is most excellent for dispatching fang jobs, hairballs, and bite hits. Next up, you got salt for rotters and various other undead, and of
And
course,
4 French fries.
your holy water. Don't leave home without it.
I
Just
didn't know
baptism.
these made holy water.
45 caliber silver specials. The idea behind these beauties is that they will get you dead.
So when you're feeling lucky, punk.
It's already been that way. And we put all kinds of nasty business in these hollow points. And you've got to love that.
He's gonna do some tactical baptisms.
These ladies are heads up shades.
Uh-oh. That's some assault garlic. That's
You got Rado,
outlawed.
C, Cam, and Mike. They let you hear what I hear, see what I see. They got autofocus and eye track and spectral enhancers.
I see a man.
Oh,
who forgot
I
to
didn't know
put
they
on
had
shirt.
Google Glass back then.
Now this little beauty here, it monitors my heart rate, stress level and temperature, and a bunch of other stuff that we don't even need to go into.
Officer 1, stand by.
Looks like we got some incoming, so heads up. And remember one thing, pal. The life you're risking is mine. Later.
Sunglasses.
911, what is your emergency? Please, calm down and speak slowly and clearly. I am here to help.
That guy's straight booking.
All right, Chow, are you ready?
The word vampire indicates possible extraordinary
You drained the pig
circumstances.
before you cook it.
I accept mission. Your options. A. Dispatch operator.
All right, chat. What do we do? Do we deploy officer or do we analyze the 911 call? Officer Graves' life is in your hands, remember.
I just realized it's called also Graves. I get the reference now.
All right, A or B?
Very
A or
grave
B, chat?
offense.
That dude lives in the metaverse.
Nanji says there's no time.
kinda
A.
true.
All right, so we got one vote for A. What else we got? we gotta get at least a couple votes here.
There's no time. I would like
We
to
have
know
all the time in the world.
All right, chat says. Oh, sorry.
Oh, 2A. We got 2 for A. I guess let's go for it.
You want to go for it?
Okay, we're going A.
Chat goes
They're
for
just
A.
going to deploy. I'm calling it now. They're going to deploy the officer every time.
They might.
Shift location. Or B. Reanalyze phone call. Dispatch officer
Not an
at
option.
the
That's not an
apartment of
option.
Vivian Kloss. Prepare for broadcast.
Right tracks, I'm stepping off the elevator and I'm making entry. I got a dark apartment and I got a bad feeling about this place.
Let's turn the light on.
Who the hell are you? Hold on a second. Out of my way.
Officer.
I'm okay, Trax. I dodged that damn needle. The bastard ran right through that sliding glass door over there.
Man, he really wanted to stick it to him.
Man, that boy must be dumber than I thought.
It's dumber than a
All
box
right,
of
I'll check
garlic.
the window here. We got a bunch of broken glass up top and down on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna trek over the balcony. Man, that must be a 3-story drop track. So why don't you send out a coroner net? Check that. Send out a garbage collector with a hefty bag and a spatula. Wait a second. There's no body down there, Trax. Should I go outside and look for?
All right, chat. What do we do? Do we search for a body? Do we search the apartment? Remember, Officer Graves' life is in your hands, and your next act could be the last in his life.
You don't want to make a Graves mistake.
Oh, jeez. Jim
I'm sorry, but the tongues write themselves.
Jim Tuner says, search the bathroom. By golly, there is no C here. We only have A and B.
Well, that would
Damn
be
it, Jim. This is a binary choice, not a trinary
I do think
one.
that would be B, because the bathroom is in the apartment.
That is
Although
what
it looks like he's getting outvoted, though, at this point.
All right, let's
Yep,
we'll give
so
it
I guess we're going A.
Let's give it a couple more seconds. Let's see if someone else.
If we have
anybody.
What happens if somebody chimes in with because there's 4. If we get 4 votes, 2 for inside, 2 for outside, then what do we do?
We'll let. Oh.
Well, that was Jim. So
I say okay. So we have 2 A's and 1 B going
2 A's and 1 B.
once. Going twice. Jim's trying to rig the vote.
I didn't know this was the year 2000.
It's Pennsylvania rules here, apparently.
All right, we're going.
We got some hanging chads in the chat.
We're going A. All right.
I'm gonna stay here and check out the apartment.
Please select an option.
All right, Trax, I'm gonna motor outside the apartment. I see what we can see here.
Like I said before,
I'm
especially with
the window
A, it just plays through, so you don't
driveway.
even know if you got your confirmation.
Plenty of broken glass, but no road piece.
Sometimes with B, it just
You sign the perp.
Hold on a second, Trax.
But I think this is A is the default choice.
So I didn't get your license plate.
Here are your options.
Give me the word no.
All right, so we're gonna cut this. We're gonna cut the segment after this last choice, and we'll so choose well. Do we pursue the sports car, or do we return to the apartment?
Maybe the real monster is you.
I love what's with the serial killer gloves. I don't know. Okay, yes. So pursue the sports car. I can't even.
But we should definitely go all the way through to the next choice so that we can have the next choice as a screenshot. Because the only way we can get back to where we were is by using the F button to skip 2 choices.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so we're going A again. Pursue sports car.
Either that or see if you left anything behind.
Officer Graves has acquired Dr. Hemos and is following him. I will patch you into him now.
Alright, Hemos is ahead of me. He doesn't have a clue that he's being followed. Drives pretty well for a vamp on bloodlust. Alright, let me get a lock on him. Try to pull up the license number. Yeah, let's see. 3JYW666.
Bit on the nose, don't you think?
Is registered to Dr. Fetus Hemos, known to our files, Old World Vampire. He has cooperated with us on several occasions.
Well, thank you for sharing, Aether, but let's cut to the chase.
You are authorized to track and observe Hemos, but do not take violent action against him.
Gee, how'd I know she was gonna say that?
I hope this does not prove too great a disappointment to Officer Graves.
Nah.
He is
Like all
gravely
cops, I just
disappointed.
love seeing killers go free. Frankly, Trax, if I'm not gonna bag him, I'd be better off searching that apartment and finding out what crime he just got away with.
Trax Command. We have received another 911 call. Please issue an order to Officer Graves.
Alrighty, so
Okay.
so stay tuned for next Mattriarchy, where we pick up again, and you guys get to decide, choose your own blood venture.
So we're
Next time on Halloween Z.
And then I go back through the VOD and write down what all the options are, because there's no way I'm going to remember this.
Well, it's in chat, kind of.
So wait a second here. Hang on. So we're gonna try to do 3 Doug TenNapel books next week and 5 minutes of this.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay.
It's gonna break things up.
Yeah, because you know how much I love to break up conversations over graphic novels. Okay. Okay. It's Halloween.
And I think chat's gonna love this.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting.
I do love this game though. This has been great.
And and as a
The best
perfect
part
how
is
it goes.
watching it through the StreamYard thing. It's actually bigger there than it is on my screen because I have it at native size, so it's like 480p just sitting there on my little desktop monitor.
Well, that's one thing I was looking when you first loaded it up. I was just like, my God, this is like first gen YouTube quality graphics here. It's like less than what you got out of a 35mm camera.
This is Windows 95. What do you expect?
Oh, hey, we have a request. Will you do any Kyle Baker books at any
I'd
point?
be happy to do a Kyle
I would
Baker
absolutely
book.
love to do some Kyle Baker.
Plastic Man on the Lamb. So that would be perfect.
Yeah, Plastic Man's so good. So good. Also, you were here. My God, what are the best crime like noir style comics ever done ever? It's amazing. So yeah, I'd love to do some Baker. We got to work that in. We got a formal request, so we'll sometime in 2023 we'll definitely do some Baker.
Alrighty.
So maybe even for Christmas. Who knows? Okay, cats. I think I need to call it, honestly. To be completely honest.
Good show. Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
Been fun. So guys, get out there.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Definitely, yeah. Anytime.
Definitely. And thanks for letting us check out your book. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I really appreciate it. It makes me happy.
So get out there, check out Screecher. Maybe it's your thing. Drop a coin in the little thingamy, and
toss a coin to your Screecher.
Yeah, there you go. Next week, for the reals, the hurricane is over. Matt's moved his shoebox back into his water-soaked house. He says it's dry and there's electricity again. We're gonna get some newts. That's the funny thing. He had to wait for his house to dry out so we could do a comic about
amphibians.
Come
for the newts. Come from the choose your own adventure. Come for it all. We're gonna have a blast.
It's gonna be crazy. So, also, guys, if you go check out the Ideal Comics, The Forces of Good and Evil, on Webtoons, next page of Homecoming Ladies Night comes out on Friday morning with words by myself and art by the incredible Mrs. H. So keep an eye on it. I think we're going to put it up on Global Comics too. So
you should. It's a great platform. It's just going to keep getting better.
If you go to idealcomics.net and we go to read comics, you can follow all of our links to all of our different stuff there. So that's that. And any more news on the where is it? The Omega Girl. Where are we sitting with all that stuff?
Still, I will let you guys know as soon as I have something to report. But again, I'm it's still coming. I have more art coming as we speak. It's just figuring out some distribution, I guess, stuff. At this point, I just need to order a bunch of them and just like mail them to people.
In the interim, check out Twitless's funny comic, Super Schooled.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
Updated weekly.
Yeah. And if you started you've Metal, the X Dynamos Chaos is up on Global Comics now, right?
Yes, I've had the account set up for like well over a month. I kind of regret not setting up all the comics sooner because I really like the fact that it lets you read it like a comic book with the 2-page spread and everything. So I actually went and added all of the like bonus inslet stuff from the physical prints into the Global Comics versions of like X Dynamis Chaos and all that. So you get like the full experience reading it there. So I highly recommend that.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. I think that's the show, guys. I think that's everything. We are going to, oh, hey there. You can check it out on Adventures of Mega Girl Indie Planet.
Yep.
There you go. I like it. I like it. It's a weird, abrupt end of the show, but I got a homework to do, so gotta cut it. See you guys out there in internet land. Happy reading, and keep loving comics. Next week, Newts, and then the week after, I can't remember what we were gonna do. It was something.
Might be if it's close to Halloween, that might be our horror comic one. We were
Probably gonna be a horror comic, something or other.
Yeah.
You know.
And more blood adventures in FMV land.
But how are you gonna pick? Because all the Marvel and DC comics, they're so horrible.
I will just pick one at random then.
Well, I mean, you could always just fall back to Jack Trick, the Trick Tracks and stuff like that. Like that would, Chick Tracks are always good.
Last year we did a whole thing just on Jack Chick, and that was
because it's
a lot of fun.
Great horror writer.
Oh my goodness, yes. So anyhow, we're calling it. Good night, everybody out there in internet land. Thank you for coming in and checking it out. Go read some comics, and hey, you can buy ours on Gumroad Digitals. Okay, I'm calling it. Good night.